Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Worst Average Gamer coming at you again with another indie playthrough. Today, we're going to be going over Unfinished Swan. So last week, we did What Remains of Edith Finch. This week, we're doing The Unfinished Swan. They're both made by Giant Sparrow, and they're both amazing stories. However, they're pretty different overall, but they tell two amazing stories, and we're going to get to them right now. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and kick it off. Let me go to pull up this chat as well. So if you didn't already know, there is a common theme with Giant Sparrow games. That's their soundtracks. What is going on, April? How are you doing? The soundtracks for these games are absolutely amazing. Hold on one second. Let me need to fix one thing. Get one thing straighten out before we start. Pardon the delay. There we go. Now we're all set. That was a quick shout out to my man Hector. He was on top of the overlay for a second. So we're gonna go ahead and start this. So this is The Unfinished Swan by Giant Sparrow. This game came out in 2012 on the PlayStation 3. It was re-released on the PlayStation 4, and that's the version that we're playing this on. And this is a very abstract game. It's probably something that you've never seen or played, but it's equally amazing. Last week was a very heart-wrenching story on What Remains of Edith Finch. If you haven't, check out the video. It's a great playthrough. But we're going through The Unfinished Swan. This kind of has a bittersweet feel to it. Still amazing.
Monroe's mother had always been much better at starting things than finishing them. When she died, she left behind over 300 canvases, not one of them finished, along with Monroe, who felt pretty unfinished himself. The orphanage allowed him to keep only one painting, and so he chose the Unfinished Swan that had always been his mother's favorite. But that night, he woke up to find the swan had disappeared. So he took his mother's silver paintbrush and followed the footprints into a little door he hadn't seen before.
So that's this game. You see, it's an all-white canvas. What is going on, Callie? How you doing, man? So this is an all-white canvas. It's really cool. So what you want to do if you're playing this game is you definitely want to go to options. You want to go to camera speed, and you want to churn this up because the camera speed is very slow on this. Callie, things are going good. We just are about to start this playthrough. And there you go. The camera speed's a lot better. So if you're playing this game, definitely adjust that camera speed. But that's how this game starts off. Really weird, right? This game is more told in kind of a fairy tale aspect that has some very deep meaning to it. And as we go, I'll kind of talk about my thoughts. You just kind of go ham and see where... This will tell you kind of where to walk. So if you see, boom, that's where we want to go. Now this, if you can already tell, this can get pretty, this can kind of get pretty disoriented if you don't like catch your bearings. But these are actual objects, so it's not like you're just shooting blank walls. This is an actual environment, but it's all painted white, and it goes along with the story. Like there's a bench. And there's no real easy way for this thing. This, I've actually played this game a handful of times recently. And as you can see right there, we're going to see our first clue, and that's those, the Unfinished Swan. You see those tracks. That's going to kind of lead us to where we need to go, but it's kind of a trap a little bit. Okay, dope, Callie. I appreciate you stopping by. There's a frog just randomly there. So you want to do is you want to go, when you see that frog, you want to go right. There's going to be some areas you're going to want to... Yeah. Well, I don't know what that was. That's the first time I've ever heard that. That was kind of creepy. So right here is where this is kind of your first spot. You definitely want to hit up these rocks. You just kind of want to splatter. Our little paint blobs kind of just float in the water. As I say that, I hit something. So this beginning part, it's very, I know it's hard to navigate. It's very disorienting. It's very disorienting. When I first played this game, this kind of threw me off. This kind of wasn't my cup of tea initially. But like I said, something drew me back to this game, and after playing What Remains of Edith Finch, I was like, you know what? Giant Sparrow they made a really good game. I'm going to go ahead and give this another shot, and I'm really glad I did. And the story in this game is good. It's I don't know, What Remains of Edith Finch is pretty deep, and it hit home on a lot of aspects, but this is it's more lighthearted, but it's still just as deep. But you've got to kind of read into it a little bit more than you did before. And so this game's not very hard. If you're wondering, I'm just throwing paint around. You don't have to be skilled to play this game, which apparently there's a video of a toddler playing this game. So you know, if a toddler can play it, the worst average gamer can definitely get in on some Unfinished Swan. So that's kind of what you want to be looking for, those tracks right there. There we go. There we go. And like I said, normally at the end of these games, I will go ahead and let you know how I feel about it and kind of give you an honest opinion if I think you should play it or not play it. Chicken. Ah! So unlike What Remains of Edith Finch, there's not a lot of narration in this game. That's a ring, chicken bone. Something. There's a piggy. Little oink oink. Oink oink action. But this game, I would say this is a very relaxing game. If you can go ahead and, if you don't mind being lost for a little bit, there's an achievement to navigate through all this, only throwing 3 paintballs. I don't know who can do that, or who has enough time. Clammy did it, because Clammy said he platinumed this game. When I talked to Clammy Games about this. Those balloons are currency, in case you didn't know. You gotta hit them with these paint blobs. Hit it! Hit it! Come on! Oh my, come on, Hippo. What is this game doing? There we go. Nice work. You can use balloons to purchase items from the menu. Probably spent way too much time on that. So this is pretty cool. If you see it in the distance, that's the letter T. The game kind of narrates through these like fairy tale pages that are scattered around this world.
The king was young, arrogant, and amazingly talented. He was convinced no color existed that was good enough for his garden, so he left it white. While he pondered how to create some new colors, his kingdom began attracting settlers, and soon he found himself with bigger problems.
I'll try to find everyone as we go through, but they're kind of hard to find. Not gonna lie. And so the whole game is not like this. If you're wondering, if you're like, oh, I don't think I could do a game that is all white, and I just have to throw blobs everywhere. This game it's gonna. No matter how you try to jump this, you're just gonna fall all the time. This game starts to get some color, starts to get some shapes. The Watchtown, Part 2, Chapter 1. I gotta keep track to let y'all know where we're at. Game. Ooh. This is kind of like a little puzzle within a puzzle. No, it's not really a puzzle. But if you... Oh, I'm already there. I did it without knowing I was there. Look at that, we got some shadows here. And there's a page.
The king's new subjects were tired of white. They were tired of tripping, of banging their shins, of misplacing their homes. So they started painting everything, ruining the king's spotless design. In response, the king outlawed all non-magical brushes and pledged to spend the next month painting shadows for his kingdom.
So, if you didn't already know, the subject of this fairy tale is the king. The king is the big person in the story. Yeah, it's a pretty neat story. We'll get to know all about the king and why the king is important to the story. Look at this.
Whoa.
And I do want to let y'all know, so this game, obviously you can see there's not a whole lot of narration to this. And it led people to have some, of course, when there isn't a lot being said, a lot of people draw conclusions that they might not already come to. But the big thing is there's nothing. So people are drawing these conclusions, and the creator of the game was like, I don't know how people are drawing these conclusions. It's pretty cut and dry, but I think that's the big challenge is when you're not giving all the narration, when you're giving the audience time to think about things, you're gonna lead to this people having different meanings for things, people seeing things that aren't there, and what have you. But it's been pretty interesting. A lot of the theories that I've been hearing on this. As you can see, the king here, you're starting to pick up little tips, like, or little hints. Like, the king's pretty vague, right? Like, he's painting pictures of himself. He's painting a picture of himself. Who's painting a picture of himself. Who's painting a picture of himself. Who's painting a picture of himself. It's pretty vain. Come on here. You got a little mini balloon up there.
Whoa.
I don't know how I didn't hit that balloon. Look how beautiful it is. Very simple, but very beautiful. Get out of here, Swan. And just so you know, you can't really die in this game. You're not gonna die. This game, obviously, it's just another simulator. It's a walking simulator, is what they call it. But yeah, this game, oh, so good. We're gonna jump down over here. Not worry about mine. Go over here. We're gonna read some more about the king right now.
Was designed to be beautiful, and it was. It was not designed to be practical, and it wasn't. Whole families got lost for weeks at a time. Mail took months to arrive, and many worried a labyrinth of this size was bound to attract dragons. Eventually, the complaints grew so loud even the king couldn't ignore them.
Very awesome narration. I really like this. It's almost like a fairy tale that you're kind of just experiencing. I love the narration. It feels like it's like you wouldn't think, oh, this has adult themes just by listening to it, but it absolutely does. Here, some more stories. Here.
The king was so frustrated with the messy, demanding people of his kingdom that he decided to start over. One morning he painted a boat and set off to find the perfect spot. He told himself he'd come back someday to finish what he had started, but of course, he never did.
So you kind of want to hear these stories. And like I said, towards the end of the game, I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts on everything. Kind of my meaning behind everything. Kind of how I feel about it. But you definitely want to pay attention to these pages.
For the first time in weeks, Monroe felt good. He felt even better when the wind pushed him close enough to reach the swan. He was feeling so good, in fact, that he forgot all about his fear of heights. But when the swan wriggled free and Monroe fell over the side, he remembered almost immediately. That might have been the end of Monroe, if this were a shorter story, but it isn't, which is why Monroe's troubles were just beginning.
So this game is really weird. When you get done with the chapter, it kind of brings you back to the home screen. So you're just going to go ahead and continue right where you left off. That's maybe one part I do not like about this game. I wish it just flowed a little better. Like, don't pull us out of the game. Let us continue this fairy tale.
Monroe scrambled out of the water and found himself in a massive city with no sign of the swan or anyone else. Well, except someone's enormous pair of feet. These were attached to a giant who could have been a big help in catching the swan, but unfortunately, here was the laziest giant who had ever lived, and it was his day off. Having celebrated in his usual way, he was now sleeping it off and quite unable to hear Monroe yelling. While he was looking for a way to wake the giant, Monroe noticed something even better: a floating ship.
So this is kind of all right. We're starting to get a little more color to this game, and we got blue, but it's actually not blue. It's more like water, because you'll just see it evaporate. So it's not really like blue paint. It's more of like I said, water. So they're giant. What's up, giant? Wake up! first. We want to go ahead and hit this. Blow this thing up. And then you might miss this right here.
Sometimes the giant wondered about where all the people in the city had gone. Mostly he worried they might
What's
come
going
back
on, Mr.
and
Zayman?
ask him to clean their gutters or put out their fires. But they never did, and that was why the giant, who was the laziest that had ever lived, was also the happiest.
So thanks for coming in and joining us. We just started chapter 2. So far, what we've learned is the king started this kingdom, and it was just this blank canvas. People wanted shadows. He started making shadows. Eventually, the king had enough. And he just left, and that's kind of what we're picking up right now. This game is definitely an amazing game. What is up, Queen Shar? How we doing? Hey, Mr. Zayman, that's what it's about. It's about this beautiful bald face on your 75-inch TV. Queen Shar, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. We're just playing some Unfinished Swan, very relaxing game. We're gonna catch some more story right now.
Before he discovered painting, the king was a potter. He loved the simplicity of a well-spun pot. So when his subjects complained that his new city was too austere and that there was nowhere to relieve themselves, the king ignored them. But when they started relieving themselves in his pots, the king hastily built them a sewer system.
This is kind of funny. So this is a story time game, folks. If you're joining us on a live stream or the video, this is a very story time-esque game. There's not a whole lot of, there's really no puzzles to this. You're just kind of experiencing a story. And it's a very amazing story. And I'll kind of give my thoughts towards the end of the stream. That's the most you're gonna get to a puzzle are these balloons. Boom, we got a better look at the giant right there. Then we got this right here. Opened it up. Now we got a sewer system. And this is a very short game, so I've played this game quite a few times just to make sure that I had a good grasp on it before I live streamed it. This game averages about an hour and a half playing through. This game is free. It was free, I believe, on PlayStation. What Remains of Edith Finch is what I played last week. It's free on the Game Pass store. But both games I definitely recommend. What Remains of Edith Finch, definitely an amazing game. The Sunday before that we played Journey, which is also an amazing game. Worst average 2 hours, you're right. So we're gonna try. Like I said, I'm not gonna rush through this. I really like this game. We're not gonna get all the balloons. We're not gonna 100% this thing. I am not claiming games, but I do like these indie games. There's such a what is up, Hector? How you doing, hermano? I think these indie games are like a good breath of fresh air from like a lot of the AAA titles that are out there, like the Call of Duties, even like Outriders, or really anything that's out there right now. I think these indie studios have the most freedom when developing these games, and I think they have like some of the best ideas. I missed it. You know what? I played through this game. Not even joking. I probably played through this game 4 times, and I made every jump every time. It's kind of embarrassing. I'm over here live on stream. I'm like, yeah, I got this, and then I miss it. Totally just miss it. Don't worry. I got good editing skills. No way. It's the pressure, chat. I'm not gonna say it's not the pressure, but I'm not gonna say it's not the pressure. But I did this in front of my kids. Like, all nonchalant, like, Alright, we got this. Ready? We got it! See, first try. Don't worry, we'll edit that out in the video. And chat, I can't believe we got that in the first try. That's probably my average right there, first try. But those little balloons, you definitely want to hit all these balloons. So if you're playing this game, definitely try to get all those balloons. We'll get some more balloons right now. It's not, and if you don't want to get these balloons, my son is amazing. We're sitting here, we're playing this game. It's a very, very chill game. I absolutely love these indie games that are like this because they're just like nice and peaceful games. How's your Sunday going, Hector? So we can go through, get some of these balloons. Like I said, these balloons are they're kind of just like style points. You don't really need them. Oh man, I think it's stuck. There we go. We're gonna come over here. Put it over here. I love yeah. So Hector, this game does such a great job. The art style in this game, it's so simple, but it's so beautiful. It is. They did such a great job. It's like when you look down at this is like a very simplistic art style, but I think it's really it's really beautiful. Like it's like you're in a cartoon, or you're in a fairy tale, if you will. Stupid swan. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get the swan. But this game's so deep. So initially you're like, it's just me throwing some paint around, whatever. But the more you get into this game, you're like, man, all the wheels are kind of going. And then at the very end of the game, it just clicks and it pulls everything together. And you're like, this is not just me throwing paint around. This is actually, there's a lot to this game. Like I said, I'll talk more about it towards the end. Kind of give you my 2 cents on things, but this game it's beautiful. There's a beautiful story to it, and it's real simple. Here, lost. Oh, spider. That thing had 8 eyes. Here we are. So we got the sewer system that's going to connect to this. And a lot of the things you're like, it's just me growing some vines. And then the game just like throws a curveball at you. It's like, it's not just about growing these vines. So these vines will go where there's water. They kind of feed off the water. Look at the story. Look at this.
As the city filled up with people, the streets
I
filled
covered
up
it
with
up.
garbage. In a fury, the king painted over the roads with a canal, which swept away the trash, along with some of the slower children. But the water brought something else, a horde of vines which began covering the city.
So if you're kind of new to the stream, you didn't catch it, there's this king and you're kind of living within kind of living within the king's kingdom, or you're kind of reliving the king's, I don't know, his story. And the king is a pretty vain king. Has a lot of issues. There we go. I get all those lines up there. But this game is very easy, very chill game. The narration's very minimal. Boom, hit it. We're gonna keep on going. So you just kind of gotta guide these vines. There's like little fish at the end of these vines, I guess. I don't know. Oh, there's sharks in the water. Push this across. Where's it? Walk on over here. Just keeps on going, keeps on going. We're gonna walk. Oh. Don't worry, we're good. The kid can swim. Yeah, I got you. I coming up there. Mr. Swan. We'll just keep pushing the buttons. Balloon. And those balloons, like I said, they're not really, you don't really need them a whole lot. They add to, if you want to do some of the cool things, you'll need them. Or if you're like 100%er, you'll need them. But other than that, you're just kind of just going along. Come on, there we go. So we're gonna water this thing. It's kind of cool. And there's cool little things they do. Doesn't really add anything to the story, but it's just kind of neat. Little whale. Just a little whale. Shooting little whale things. Boom. What's this? Grow my vines. It's like a vine man. Almost got you, little geese. Come on, little vines. And these vines are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. There we go. Wake up. So these vines are just gonna go in those gold pipes. Then you want to walk over here. Then you're gonna swing like Marcy. Woo! That nice swinging. This is chapter 2, part 4. And we're gonna go over here. There's 2 balloons that we're gonna find over here. So these golden things, if it's gold, there's a high chance you'll be able to climb it. That's just kind of the rule. It's not a real life rule. So don't be trying to climb gold things in real life. This is just a video game rule. Specifically just this video game. You probably can't just randomly climb things in Mario. They're gold. There we go. We're gonna go down here real quick. And then we're gonna go ahead and go to this maze down here. We're gonna get a little bit more of the story. Get another balloon, because, you know, why not? Get another balloon, because why not? There's gonna be some great editing done on these videos. I'm gonna get everything down on the first try. Of all his creations, his greatest was himself. That shows you how kind of vain this dude is, right? Of all his creations, his greatest was himself. Man, sounds like a pretty dope guy. Kind of want to have tea with this guy.
Unlike his nicely trimmed hedge maze, the vines refused to stay where the king wanted them. He ordered his subjects to pull up every vine they saw. But the people were getting tired of the king's endless decrees, so they secretly began watering the vines whenever the king wasn't looking.
Off with their heads! No, I'm just joking. The king's kind of like a lazy... He seems real lazy and just kind of full of himself. Got some other cool stuff going on right here, too. Kind of back up for a second to get a better view of this thing. Womp womp. JK. Alright, so that was that. That was cool. And just so you know, like, all this stuff is not necessary. If you just ran through this game, you can just run through this game. It doesn't penalize you. It doesn't... I mean, granted, you're not going to get all the story. And that's probably a little detrimental. You definitely want to hear all the story because it is a good one. It gives you an idea of a lot of things. Oh, here's some more where it's just all white. And you kind of got to feel out the room. Go over here. Go up the stairs. We're going to have to climb it eventually. Keep shooting. Just keep shooting. And we're going to get there. That's ultimately where we want to be. I have no idea where I am. I think I gotta go here. That's the part. That's the thing about these games. You kind of just gotta feel it out here. There we go. Kind of got this thing going on over here. It's a pain of himself, a pain of himself, of a pain of himself. Dum 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 dum. We're gonna keep following these Unfinished Swan tracks. When in doubt, just track it out, baby. Be careful, you don't want to fall off the edge. So if you're playing along here and you want to kind of get as many balloons as you can with my help, there's another balloon over here. Like I said, these aren't required for anything. They're just kind of like, hey, I got a balloon. Unless you want a platinum trophy, then yes, you absolutely need it for a platinum trophy.
Hey!
Yeah. Goose. So we just want to leave these plants up there. Ultimately, that's where we want to get to. This game does kind of get a little creepy, just so everybody's doesn't hit everybody by surprise. There's going to be one portion of this game where it gets a little weird. Not super creepy, but it gets a little creepy. Scale from 1 to 10, it's like a 3, maybe a 2. Here's part 5. Let's see. Got another balloon right there. 16. Here's
The king hated the sea, and all because of his very first castle. It was the only one he had ever come close to finishing, and it took him a single day. But then the tide came in and washed it all away. He vowed that someday he'd build a kingdom that would last forever.
So if you see that constant theme, he's constantly building things, but he rarely finishes them. So he's building these castles and building these great things, a labyrinth, but he just doesn't ever finish them. Look, it's kind of a statue of himself. And what do you know? There's the king right there. Jumping down, keep jumping down. And this game, I tell you what, if you have kids, this is a great game for kids too. It doesn't require a whole lot of anything. There was a video of a toddler playing this game, so. Hey, Jay Doobie. Yeah, so Jay Doobie, I stream indie walkthroughs every Sunday. So far, if you I don't know if you're ever bored, I've done Journey. I did What Remains of Edith Finch, and now I'm doing Unfinished Swan. And so what I'll do is normally the Friday before the stream, I'll put it out on social media what game I'll be streaming on YouTube, what indie game I'll be streaming. But this is a very different stream than what people are kind of used to when it comes to Worst Average Gamer. It's nice. This is a nice, relaxing stream. Oh, hey, appreciate it, Jay Doobie. Yeah, so this is a nice, relaxing stream. It's a good way to end my week. It's a good way to. It ends my week. It's very chill, very calm. And the best part about it is I get to play games that are kind of outside the realm, outside my normal realm of like multiplayer. I get to play these indie games. Queen Shard, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So,
Whoa!
I love indie games because it feels like indie games have more freedom to actually just make what they want. I feel like a lot of AAA companies are forced to be in a box, and they don't have a lot of freedom. So like, I don't know, like take the like Assassin's Creed games. They have to remain in a box. When you have games like Unfinished Swan that can just do whatever they want.
The vines were slowly burying the king and his city. No matter what he tried, the king couldn't stop them. So he decided to create something that could.
Exactly.
He mixed in paint thinner, malice and snot, and soon had the outlines of a pretty horrible creature.
Like Blizzard,
But it
yes.
wasn't until the thing began to coil its tentacles and snap its jaws that the king understood what he had made. And for the first time in his life, the king was afraid.
So this game, so at first, when you first play this game, you're like, you know what, this game is very like, okay, this game's kind of like a fairy tale. I don't know what's going on here. When you reach the end of this game, there's a lot of adult themes. Like I said, I'm going to talk about it towards the end. At least what I believe the game is talking about. But there's a lot of meaning to this game, and it hides it so well. Because at first you're just like, whatever. This is like a kid's game. It's a fairy tale, and then it's like an onion. You start peeling it back, and you're like, whoa. But this game, definitely pretty deep. It's gonna. I don't know why it's shooting that way. So I've played this game quite a bit, and that's the first time that ever happened. We're going over here. And what we're doing is we're just trying to connect the dots over here. So we want it to go down, we want it to go over here, we want it to go to this bridge. And we want it to connect to me. That is so weird. That's literally the first time that's ever happened. So weird. All right. But yeah, so this game, like I said, it looks like it's not going to be deep, and then at the end you're like, wow, it's actually pretty deep.
Even half finished, the creature had no trouble swallowing up all the king's soldiers, half his zoo, and 3 peppermint gazebos. It was only with the help of his pet hippo and the giant that the king was able to force it into the sea. And though the water remained black for years after, the creature was never seen again on shore.
And if you're here watching this video live, or you're watching it on when it's not live and it's just a video, thank you so much. Everybody's support means so much to me. The requirements to hit the YouTube partner program are so high, and it's high for a reason. I get it, but it is definitely a marathon of requirements needed for this. One of them needed 4,000 hours of watched time and 1,000 subs. So every single sub absolutely matters, and every single minute watched means so much. So that's what we're trying to go is right there. So my ultimately my plan is to have a lot of content of all these indie games. So one, it gives them a spotlight, but two, it gives a. So I also do this because my kids love to. What is up, Blau? My kids love to watch me play video games, but my Twitch content may not be the best content for them.
Within a short time, the king's subjects.
So I started making these for my kids to watch.
Except the giant, who was quite loyal and also very lazy.
So J Doobie, you can't. So you can stream to as many platforms as you want. However, with Twitch, you can't multi-stream. So once you're an affiliate, your Twitch content has to say Twitch content for 24 hours. So if you stream, it has to stay exclusive to Twitch for 24 hours. So that means you can't post it on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, anything like that, YouTube. What is up, Selena Kyle? Thank you for being here. Thank you so much joining me on this amazing game of Unfinished Swan. But yeah, J Doobie, you can, as an affiliate, your Twitch content has to stay Twitch content for 24 hours. Then you can push it out to anything else. However, it doesn't limit you from streaming to other platforms. Now, I think once you make partner on Twitch, everything changes a bit.
Goodbye to the giant and set sail. But no matter how fast he went, the swan was always just out of reach. And not for the first time that day, Monroe suspected he was being led somewhere. Then they flew into a cloud, and everything went black.
So, Blau, are you talking about YouTube in general, or are you talking about this game? So that concludes Chapter 2. We're going to be going to Chapter 3 here. The nightmare, or the nighttime, but it's like a nightmare. So partner on Twitch it's a cool thing. There's a lot of things that are limiting to you on
Monroe
Twitch
sailed on in
as
darkness,
partner.
following the swan's voice, but he never saw a thing.
The game is amazing,
Not
Blau.
the swan, and certainly not the tree he got stuck in. When the clouds lifted, the swan was gone, leaving Monroe alone in the middle of an immense forest. Since there was nothing else to be done, he jumped.
So this game is done by the same people that made my last week's game. So Giant Sparrow, they created What Remains of Edith Finch, and they also created Unfinished Swan. And I think they do an amazing job at storytelling. Unfinished Swan, it was pretty deep. I'm not gonna lie. Like at the very end, it was pretty emotional. Unfinished Swan. It's not as I don't know, it's not as emotionally draining, but at the end, it's still pretty heavy to really think about things. And I'll kind of give my 2 cents at the end. I don't want to ruin it, but I think this game has some really deep meaning to it, and I'll kind of go on to it towards the end of the stream. But Blau, how's your Sunday? Thank you for stopping by. So it's also with Twitch partner, it's a little weird. I don't think you can stream to any other platform other than Twitch. Once you hit that partner level, I think the ability to stream to another service is off limits. You can only stream to Twitch. However, you can still put stuff on other platforms like a TikTok or YouTube or Twitter or Instagram, but I don't think as a Twitch partner you can stream to any other platform. So this is kind of creepy. I appreciate it, Blau. Yeah, these games I love because they're just, I don't know, I feel like I'm recharging my battery, my video game battery, if you will. Playing these games, I think like all these Warzone games and Assassin's Creed games, they're like high energy games, and these games are like kind of just nice and chill. Exactly, JD, you're under contract with them. So you're real limited as far as you can't stream to any other service. Ooh, I just hit a random balloon. That's kind of cool. Trying to figure out where. The spiders kind of creep me out. Not gonna lie. They threw me off for a second. I'm looking for the next. Ha 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 ha! You like that? Ah, come on! Give me a second. Give me a second. Woo! Got some graves over here. Chill out. So if you know me at all, I don't like scary video games. I like scary movies, but not a big fan of scary video games. I can barely watch people stream scary video games. And even something like this, it's a little nerve-wracking. We're gonna keep pushing this up. I'm getting these random balloons. I don't ever think I got. Keep pushing it. So yeah, Jay Doobie, that might be that. I wouldn't say, oh, I don't want to make Twitch partner, because obviously everybody that's in here on Twitch, we all want to do those cool things, hit Twitch partner. But I don't know if you've ever talked to Twitch partner. They don't get a bigger cut of their subs or anything like that. It's not until you hit those huge numbers that you start getting those 70 to 30 splits that everybody talks about. I know a lot of Twitch partners that they're still rocking the 50-50 split. The only difference is emotes, because you get 25 emotes, and transcoding. You get transcoding on every stream. Whereas like Twitch affiliates sometimes get transcoding. And what transcoding is it allows you to it allows your stream to be downscaled to, like, I don't know, from 1080p to 900p to 720p to 480p and so on and so forth. So there's actually not a whole lot of benefits to hitting Twitch partner. Unless you're a huge Twitch partner. I mean, if you're a huge Twitch partner, yeah. But yeah, I know a lot of Twitch partners that are still. Oh, you're good, April. You're good. Like I said, this is more of a nice, relaxing walkthrough for me. I'm just hoping not to die by these spiders. See, yeah. So Selena Kyle, I love scary movies. Scary movies are my jam. I love them. I just can't do scary games. Get out of my way, frog! I cannot do scary games at all. Oh. No! Spiders. Spiders trying to get me. Yeah, so I can do scary movies. I actually really like scary movies a lot. It's one of my favorite genres. The scarier, the better. But I think the difference is, I don't have to do anything in a scary movie. I can just sit there and watch. In a scary video game, I have to move the character. I have to do things, and I'm not cool with that. Like I have to force the action. Where in a scary movie, you don't have to force the action. You're just kind of sitting there for the ride.
The king was tired of creating perfect kingdoms only to attract less than perfect subjects. He decided he'd have to leave a legacy the old-fashioned way, with a family. So he began to build one, starting with a house.
So this king's all about having a legacy. But this king is a very selfish king. So here's a really cool mechanic in the game. I really like this mechanic a lot.
The king had never had much luck with people, so instead of trying to find a wife, he painted one. When she opened her eyes, the king was astonished. He had created a female version of himself. The king was in love.
So throughout this whole game, you'll see that the king is very self-absorbed. And right there, the king paints pretty much of himself as a female. This is probably one of my favorite parts of the game. Because it just adds a different dimension that we really haven't seen in this game. You get to kind of make your own platforms. Very cool. Boom. Then we're gonna go over here. Pull this out. So they kind of give you a blueprint. I'm like, whatever. You know. I'm making these horrible steps. But you know, it gets the job done, chat. That's all that matters. So you can see, you do it in one world, and then it kind of relates to the next world. FYI, I love this music.
Bursting with joy, the king locked himself in his workshop painting gifts for his queen. He never saw her lack of interest, though she made no effort to hide it. The only gift she kept was his first, a little silver paintbrush.
So there's a lot that relates to Monroe, which is your main character, with the king and the queen. But you really have to find these little storybook pages to kind of unlock the story. Because if you just run through this game and you don't hit all these story pages, it kind of leaves a lot left to be. I don't know. It leaves a lot to the imagination.
Every day, the king painted a new room for the house, and every day he abandoned it as not good enough for his queen. While he slept, the queen spent her nights painting creatures of the forest, though she never finished a single one. 5 months went by before the king noticed she was pregnant.
So as you can see, they're both on the same boat. They like to start things but never finish them.
Whoa! Oh.
Ooh. Kobe. There we go. We got it now. Oh my goodness. Come on. Boom. There we go. We got it. And I'm not gonna beat this to death. So when I played this by myself, I made all these cutouts. This thing was like beautiful. I'm not gonna painstakingly go through this. It's not needed. You don't have to do the whole thing. You just gotta get enough to get across. But I made the whole thing. It was nice. It was pretty. There's a balloon up there, and we'll get to it here in a second. And we'll get that balloon, trust me. So everything is off. This whole thing is on limits. Nothing's off limits. You can draw on the floor, make platforms, like Mario yourself up there. It's me, Mario. Come on. There we go. And you don't have to do this. This is just for the balloon. And like I said, we're not going to get all the balloons, but we're going to get some of the balloons. We're not going to be too crazy. There we go. This over here. Look at that! Look at that! I'm like an architect. Well, so I climb all this to the top. You can sit here and you can draw stairs, and that's all nice. You don't have to though. We'll have to make it to that ladder right there. So I use the same method. I just make little platforms. We'll get up there. This is the easiest way that I found, so if you're playing this game, just make little platforms. Nice and easy. I just missed it. Great thing, this whole thing is kind of just like you get to make whatever you want out of it. No! Oh my goodness, that is embarrassing. You should have been able to do that. That's the cool thing, is like we're just kind of just playing it by ear. Outside. We're just gonna like this is a very nice game. If you didn't realize, this is a very peaceful game for me. I'm just kind of like sitting here enjoying it, talking my way through it. Very fun game. Take a look right here. So this was totally by accident, but if you look at this telescope, what do we see there? We see a moon. And what do we see when we zoom in? What is this?
Hey.
That's Journey! So the very first game that we did here on YouTube as a Sunday playthrough And boom, here we are. If you will, third Sunday, and we kind of have a tie back to the original one. They're all kind of intertwined. First one was Journey. Second one was made by Giant Sparrow, and third was made by Giant Sparrow. So they're all kind of interlocked, if you will. Very, very cool. Totally by accident. I did not mean for that to happen, but very cool that it did. I'm just gonna go ahead and boom, make this go as far as it possibly can. There we go. We're gonna go up here, and look at that here. What is up, Callie? How we doing, man? We are in chapter, I believe this is chapter 3. So we're over here in the scary forest, and this is quite scary. But we don't have spiders anymore, so I'm okay with this. As long as there's not spiders, I'm okay. Getting some story right now.
On the night before the queen was to give birth, she left. All she took was a single unfinished painting. When the king woke, he found no explanation, and he never did.
Nice, man. Nice, Callie. Glad you got home. So right there, that's a big part of the story. So we see the queen, right? So the queen leaves the king. She takes this unfinished swan with her when she's pregnant. And then we see Monroe, right? He's born, and his mother's favorite painting is the unfinished swan. And that's the painting that he takes with him to the orphanage. So as you can see here, this is a fairy tale kind of about Monroe. He's the child behind everything. The King's Monument. There we go.
For 9 years, the king didn't paint a thing. Then he had a vision, a colossal monument of himself that would be his legacy for the ages. But he hadn't even finished painting the scale model, which was over 100 feet tall itself, when his powers began to fail.
So, Hector, we're probably actually in the last. There's probably about 15, 20 minutes left in this game. We have this part. Yeah, hey, no problem, Callie. So we have this part, which is really it. Once we finish this section, we get to the top. We're gonna find out about the king, and then the king will talk to us, and then that's pretty much over. So this game probably has about 15, 20 minutes left, maybe 30 tops. And then I'll kind of give my recap on things as far as what I think, what it's about.
The king never finished another painting. Then one night he went to sleep and couldn't even finish his own dream. And he's been trapped inside it ever since.
So boom, here we are. This all ties to it, right? So Monroe looks through the telescope. He sees this exact same thing. It says he's asleep and he can't even finish his own dream. He's been trapped in his dream ever since. So we're going through. We're gonna hit this lemon because, it's a lemon, I guess. All right, so right now the water's starting to rise. So now we actually gotta hurry up. So we're gonna go up this plank right here. We're gonna make a left. And this is pretty dark. It's hard to see. We're gonna go up. We're actually just gonna get on top of this piece of furniture, and we're gonna let the water rise. Look at this. So we got the king, his mustachio. I don't like the king. Just gonna graffiti all over the king. We get to the top right here. We're gonna keep going. Keep going because the water's rising and it's not stopping. No! Oh! Come on, I was right there. I was right there. So that balloon always gives me a hard time whenever I try to hit it. Get to the top. Oh, right here. Oh, that's funny. Oh. Come on. Whoa. All right, chat. So that's actually never happened before. That thing. I wonder what's gonna happen. Yeah, it's just good. So I was supposed to be on that. I think I glitched the game. Okay, all right, we're good. We're good. So normally, I was just speeding things up. We hit this, and this takes us over to the part. So we're gonna go right here to the king. And here we go.
As Monroe stood there trying to think of something to say, the statue shuddered and the hatch slammed shut. And now there was no more need for talking. The king was awake.
So that concludes this chapter. We got the last chapter, The King's Dream. So, kind of to recap before we go into this, if you haven't caught the theme right now, so the king is Monroe's dad, the queen is Monroe's mom. If you didn't catch the beginning, the queen died. Monroe ended up orphaned, and he took the Unfinished Swan because the orphanage only let him take one painting. So he's been going through his father's dream, and now he's meeting his father in his dream. So, quick recap.
Ah, it's you, the boy from my dream. What a strange dream it was. My life's work was being destroyed, and all I could do was watch.
Come, sit here by the fire.
It all began right there, in the house I grew up in.
That's not confusing at all. Yeah, I know.
I heard
It's
a heavy knocking at the door.
it's like
just like on the night.
what's
I
that
left.
movie, Inception? It's like a dream within a dream. Look at that. That's a nice thing to Giant Sparrow, the company that made this.
I opened
yeah.
the door, but there was nothing there, just white space.
So this is kind of brings us back to the beginning of the game. This is what the beginning of the game looked like. And the narration is going to be really important, so I'm going to try not to ruin it.
But when I got outside, disaster. Some miscreant had painted everything. My garden was ruined. And then my statue spoke and said, "Help me! Some little hooligan is running around splattering everything in the garden. I think he's headed for the... Something got in my mouth."
But Rabies, this game is amazing. This is probably the third time I've played through it this week, just because I wanted to make sure I have everything smooth for the playthrough on stream. But this game is amazing. You're at the tail end where I'm gonna kind of push everything all together.
I saw my unfinished labyrinth, abandoned and forgotten.
So we see how the king's like, somebody came through and ruined my garden. He ruined, and this is kind of like nice. So this kind of talks about, and this kind of relates to people having children. Like you make this beautiful life, like you have these nice things, this nice house, nice everything, and then you have these kids who will just come along and like they'll put crayons on your walls. They're gonna get stuff dirty. Maybe that was like a nice rug that you had at one time and they spilled grape juice on it. And it's just a part of life. It's part of being a parent is your stuff's gonna get messed up. It's just gonna happen. And then we have this castle. We have this castle, and it's an unfinished work, and it kind of represents the things that are Blau, the graphics are beautiful. It's like a real comic. So this castle that remains unfinished, it's like the things that we do growing up, right? So we might pick up a hobby and then we forget about it. We might start something and then we just kind of forget about it. So this kind of represents all the things that you just start, you pick up, and then you kind of just abandon them. And this is the king. This was supposed to be his castle. It was supposed to be his like great thing, and then he just abandoned it. He left. He said, "Yeah, I'll come back to it." Then he never comes back. Hey, what's going on, Beefcake? So we're gonna keep on going. But if you notice this game, it's boom, I got the balloon. I never got that balloon before. I'm pretty excited by that. So there's a lot of different meaning behind it. Yeah, the art direction is amazing. Like it is, the whole game's like this. It's so beautiful. It's so simple.
Your dreams have credits?
Oh yes, and subtitles.
This is also a beautiful thing. They put the credits into the game. Oh yeah, so the same people that made What Remains of Edith Finch created this game, and they're both amazing games, and they're both amazing on their own. Completely different stories, completely different emotions. So
I saw my beautiful city strangled by those disgusting vines. I built it to stand 100 lifetimes, and instead, it'll be buried in one. A monument for weeds.
So, and it goes back, right? So we built these things and we think they're gonna be our legacy. And then you had this kid running around just, putting vines everywhere. He's like, I made it to where these vines were gonna come back. And then, the vines come back because, his kid comes through and puts these vines there. So it's kind of like no matter what you think is gonna last a lifetime, it's not. And I don't think they mean it to be like as a downer. It's just like, hey, you have to realize, like, you think your statues are gonna live on forever. They're not. Your legacy, you think they're gonna stand the test of time when eventually they're gonna crumble. Eventually weeds will grow over them. Eventually, they'll be outdated.
The dining hall was full of people, like the old days. It smelled like roasted goose. For a moment, I was happy.
It is. So it's crazy because it's told like a fairy tale. But it's like an onion. It has all these really deep meanings. So you can sit here.
Then suddenly,
Here we go.
I was alone again. The world had become cold and dark.
So here we go, like, and it talks about life. So if you remember, the king left the queen left the king, and the king was by himself. And here we go. The king's by himself, and he kind of.
My own death rising up around me.
So he's talking about his life, his mortality, right? So it's It's like it's so crazy. It's very symbolic if you kind of just. Anybody got school tomorrow? I don't, but I have work tomorrow, Beefcake.
I floated past chunks of the house I built, or started building, scarcely 10 years later, and the whole thing was in ruins. My works were meant to last forever, but most of them will be gone before I am.
Thank you, Queen. Look at this, like...
I was at a funeral. My own, as it turned out. No one was there. Except you.
Then he starts talking about his death, like... The king spent so much time... The king spent so much time worried about himself and being vain, and then here he is at his own funeral, and nobody showed up because this guy was a jerk. This guy spent so much time pushing other people out, he never got close to anybody. And then here we are at his funeral, and nobody's there except his child. Look, there's me. Weird, really weird, but yeah, it's just me standing on top of my dad.
I saw my monument, my last hope of leaving something that would live on after me, and I began to walk toward it.
It is, and it
with each step I took, I got larger.
It kind of like it's kind of let you know, like, hey, you know, if you spend your whole life just being so vain, at the end of it, like, who are you gonna have? If you shut everybody out and you're just so worried about yourself, at the end of your life, like, what are you gonna have?
Growing.
Just yourself.
Like a teenager. With a gentle push, my monument crumbled and sank.
Look at that, just like that. Everything that he'd worked so hard for, and it's gone.
I saw my life's work laid out in front of me. Soon it would crumble into dust or be painted over by someone who would come after me, the same way I painted over what was here before me.
Wow, Queen is right. She was here first.
When the universe ended, I knew that everything I'd made was over. And as I sat there, looking out into the darkness, I thought back on all the things I'd built and left unfinished. I realized something. I wasn't sad that it was all gone. I had fun making all that stuff. I would have done it anyway. And then, somehow I knew that when I woke up, all my work really would be destroyed. And that's when you showed up. I don't know how you got here, but I'm glad to see you. I have something for you. This brush isn't mine anymore. My work is over. It belongs to you now.
And this talks about...
That makes you happy, and that someday they will say, he is a better man than his father. That door will take you anywhere you want to go, but leave quickly, child. None of this will last for long.
And
That's
that
so
night,
deep.
Even though he was very tired, Monroe did something that would have made his mother very happy. He painted.
That's so deep. He says, I hope that when you look back, somebody says he was a better man than his father. So it's kind of like that's kind of a parent's, that's kind of what a parent wants, right? Like, I want my kid to be better than me. And then what does he do? He, for the first time, he finishes a painting. So his mom had 300 paintings. She never finished one. His dad, the king, never finished anything. He was always almost done with the kingdom, and he'd move on to something else. And Monroe wakes up in the middle of the night. He gets to painting, and he finishes a painting. Something that his mom and his dad never did. So he wakes up and he becomes a better person than his parents. I see Queen Char and Blau blowing it up like they normally always do. And that's it. So this game, it's so at the end of What Remains Edith Finch, it was very sad. But this game, it's kind of happy and it's kind of bittersweet to know, like as a parent, everything that you think is gonna last forever, it's not. All the legacies you think are gonna last, they might not. But the best thing we can do is hope that our kids are better than us, and hopefully they learn from our mistakes by never finishing these kingdoms, never finishing things, and hopefully they will be able to finish things in their own world. Very beautiful game. Giant Sparrow did an awesome job with this. If you are looking for a cool game to play through, this game, very awesome. It took me an hour and 26 minutes to run through, and that's doing some narration along with everything. But that leads us to the end. A lot of lessons in this game, and I'm legit. These games, I love these games as much as I love my AAA titles. These games are they're amazing. They're storytelling games, and yeah, Callie, that'd be dope. And these games, I think they tell a story, and it's a beautiful story. And I think it's these small things that I think if we learn from these games, these life lessons, they're awesome. But Rabies, that might be something I'll probably end up doing here pretty soon. Once I have enough of these built up, I might start doing reviews for these games. But that concludes today's stream, today's indie walkthrough. I'm gonna be doing another game next week on Friday. I'll be announcing it on my Twitter, and I'll be probably televising it a bit on my Twitch channel as well. But thank you for joining me. This was an absolute gem to play through, and I think I absolutely love playing these indie games because they're so out there, and they tell these amazing stories. So everybody, thank you for joining me. If you thinking about picking this game up, pick this game up. It's definitely fun. Play through it, try to get everything, and just try to take everything in. This is an absolute fun game. And thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting the channel. Folks, I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the support. It literally blows my mind that y'all are here supporting this. I love y'all. But Rabies, it means a lot that you're here for any given time. Everybody, I'll catch you next Sunday for my indie playthrough. We'll be going through 8:30 p.m. Eastern time for the next game. Everybody, love you. I'll catch you next week. Peace out, everybody.